Before I tell you this story, let me make something clear. There is no deal or offer that will ever be worth sacrificing your connection with loved ones. Money, fame, anything else, it's not worth it. Believe me. Once upon a time, a man got an opportunity to earn lots of money, had the option to accept the offer or decline it. He didn't want to do whatever it took to get the money, but after careful consideration, he decided to take it. It was one of the biggest mistakes of his life. Once upon a time, a man named David received a strange offer from an enigmatic figure known as Mr. Blackwood. This mysterious individual proposed a proposition to him, which was to remain confined within his apartment for a period of 1 year. In exchange for this, Blackwood promised to compensate him with a significant sum of $1 million. Intrigued by this unusual proposal, David decided to accept the offer and promptly signed a contract. Initially, the first month passed without any complications. David found himself enjoying the solitude of his apartment, indulging in leisure activities such as playing video games and staying connected with friends through video calls. He also took advantage of the financial resources provided to him, purchasing better quality groceries and other desired items. As weeks turned into months, he experienced a sense of relief from the pressures of everyday life. However, David soon realized that being confined to his apartment for an extended period had its limitations. He began to feel isolated and miss the company of others. The absence of human interaction took a toll on his mental well-being, leaving him longing for a more fulfilling and engaging lifestyle. Despite these challenges, David persevered and continued to fulfill the terms of his contract, determined to see it through until the end. As the year drew to a close, David found himself both relieved and apprehensive, relieved to be nearing the completion of his isolation, but apprehensive about the prospect of reintegrating into society after such a prolonged period of seclusion. He had grown accustomed to the comforts and conveniences of his apartment, and the thought of returning to the demands and distractions of the outside world was daunting. Despite these mixed feelings, David knew that the time had come to move forward. He began to make plans for the future, considering the possibility of finding new employment or pursuing other opportunities that awaited him outside the confines of his apartment. However, just as David was preparing to emerge from his self-imposed exile, an unexpected twist occurred. Mr. Blackwood, the enigmatic benefactor who had presented him with the initial offer, reappeared at his apartment. With another proposition, he offered David a new contract proposing 5 additional years of confinement in exchange for a significantly increased sum of $10 million. Blackwood explained that he was intrigued by David's resilience and adaptability to the unique living arrangement and believed that extending the experiment would provide valuable insights. David was torn between the allure of substantial financial gain and his desire to reconnect with the outside world. After careful consideration, he decided to accept the offer and once again committed to remaining indoors for an extended period. In the ensuing 5 years, David continued to live a secluded existence within his apartment. He developed routines to keep himself occupied and engaged. Initially, he found solace in hobbies such as reading, gaming, and streaming movies. However, as the months turned into years, these activities began to lose their appeal, and he craved more meaningful interactions. During this time, David occasionally received phone calls from his loved ones, who expressed their concern for his well-being and urged him to reconnect with them. However, he found himself hesitant to share the true nature of his situation, fearing their disapproval or disbelief. Instead, he fabricated excuses to distance himself from them. As the 5th year drew to a close, David's feelings of isolation and longing for human connection intensified. The thought of spending another 5 years alone was overwhelming, and he began to question his decision to accept Blackwood's offer. Nevertheless, driven by the desire for financial security and the promise of a substantial payout, he resolved to persevere. At the start of his 6th year, David noticed a change in Mr. Blackwood's demeanor. The enigmatic benefactor now appeared older and more frail, hinting at health concerns that had been affecting him. David, despite his own struggles, found a sense of empathy towards Blackwood and began to wonder about the motivations behind the mysterious man's actions. Blackwood, on the other hand, seemed to sense David's evolving emotions and made a final proposition. He offered him a 3rd contract, extending the agreement for another 10 years in exchange for a staggering $100 million. Blackwood revealed that he had been closely observing David throughout the experiment and believed that he possessed the necessary strength and resilience to endure the extended isolation. He also hinted at a deeper purpose behind the experiment, suggesting that it was not merely a test of endurance, but an opportunity for personal growth and self-discovery. Other times he would indulge in his favorite foods, savoring each bite as if it were a gourmet meal. As time went on, David's thoughts drifted back to his family and friends. He wondered how they were doing and whether they ever thought about him. At times he felt a pang of regret for the relationships he had neglected. But he pushed those thoughts aside, focusing instead on the positive aspects of his situation. One day, David came across an article about a local charity event being held in support of people with long-term illnesses. Moved by the cause, he decided to make a substantial donation. The event was in aid of children suffering from rare disorders, a cause that resonated deeply with David, due to his own experiences with isolation and illness. With a generous heart, he contributed a significant amount, hoping to make a difference in the lives of these children. As the years rolled by, David's generosity became known in the neighborhood. People would often stop by his apartment to thank him for his contributions and inform him about the progress made in the community. Though he never saw these people, he took great pride in knowing that his donations were improving the lives of those around him. Throughout this journey, David's connection with Mr. Blackwood remained unchanged. The enigmatic benefactor continued to monitor David's well-being and ensure that his needs were met. Their relationship, though unconventional, had become a constant amidst the ever-changing world outside. On an ordinary day, exactly 16 years after their initial agreement, Mr. Blackwood visited David with a surprising announcement. He informed David that it was time for him to move on and that the final payment of $100 million had been transferred to his account. Overwhelmed with a mix of emotions, David realized the magnitude of the financial wealth he had accumulated over the years. As David prepared to leave his apartment after 16 long years, a wave of emotions washed over him, a mix of excitement, trepidation, joy, and sorrow. Leaving the only home he had known for so long was both daunting and exhilarating. He stepped outside, blinking in the bright sunlight, feeling the warmth of the sun on his skin. The fresh air filled his lungs, bringing with it the sounds of birds chirping and people going about their daily lives. It was a symphony of normalcy that he had longed to hear for so many years. Taking a deep breath, David started to explore his surroundings. The world had changed in ways he could not have imagined. Buildings that were once familiar now stood as towering skyscrapers, blocking the view of the open sky. Streets that he remembered as bustling thoroughfares were now transformed into pedestrian plazas filled with people and shops. As he ventured further, David encountered people going about their daily routines, families enjoying a picnic in the park, children playing, couples strolling hand in hand. He observed it all with a sense of wonder, feeling a pang of longing for the connections he had missed out on. Determined to embrace this newfound freedom, David decided to treat himself. He visited a local restaurant, savoring the taste of a freshly brewed cup of coffee and a delicious pastry. Sitting at a table, he watched people coming and going, feeling a sense of belonging that had eluded him for so long. He checked his phone and discovered a message from an unknown number. It was a bank notification confirming the transfer of $100 million into his account. A sense of satisfaction washed over him, acknowledging the financial security that now lay within his grasp. However, there was a hint of melancholy in his heart as he realized that the journey that had brought him to this point had come to an end. With newfound determination, he set out to create a meaningful life for himself. He reached out to old friends and acquaintances, reconnecting with those who had,